What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the OddsShopper channel, coming to you with another Thursday night football edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Man, Christian McCaffrey ends up sitting out. That under ends up getting voided. Deebo Samuel goes way over. That was the whole intention, was hoping he was going to be limited. But no, he ends up out. The line comes down a point to 3.5 basically there from the +4.5, +4 that were existing across the marketplace before that. Well, guess running backs don't matter when Jordan Mason is the truth. That was absolutely wild to watch. Jets never stood a chance. That sucked. But overall, a really nice weekend backing dogs there. 3-0 we were on the videos and in the Discord as well. Ended up on Pittsburgh +4 after the Fields news moved that. Ended up taking Arizona when they moved to 6.5, and then also Denver 6.5. It's a numbers game, friends. Price, probability, that's what we're about. And hey, if you want to tail all of my plays, and hey, we had Breece Hall over 24.5 there, closed at 29.5. He goes way over his receiving. So that was good in the premium Discord as well. That is now called Tails by OddsShopper. If you want to join my premium Discord, if you want to join the marketplace, use promo code Lindy50. Lindy50 gets you 50% off your first week or your first month of my package. And then you get to hang out in the premium Discord and talk through the plays, talk through process, talk through what I'm doing as far as simulating out NFL games. And well, $10 for your first week, $25 for your first month using code Lindy50. Check that out down at the link below. But we've got a huge football game here on Thursday night. Craziness in Tyreek Hill's life over the course of the weekend. And then a bunch of just insane stuff here in terms of snap counts, I think, on the Buffalo side. We'll get into the ins and outs of it. But without further ado, producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. Here we go, friends. It's time to partay. Yes. Oh, make sure that everybody can see beautiful Tails logo. Here we are. Let's ride. We've got Buffalo +2.5, the prevailing number across the industry right now. Miami, they are, it was a really weird game to watch. Took a breakaway early second half touchdown there from Tyreek Hill. Absolute bomb there. Craziest touchdown celebration you'll see all year. No matter what, the handcuff celebration, it was incredible. But what was not incredible was, everything that came before it. But anywho, we are here to talk sports betting, and we're here to talk the ins and outs of this football game. And I do think Miami defensively could have looked a lot better overall. As I look through some of the specific numbers in that spot against Jacksonville, did a good job at containing when it mattered most. That fourth quarter found some ways, some interesting defensive fronts, and finally found themselves onto some winning ways towards the end. And also helps to have a field goal kicker make a 50+ yarder. There were a lot of those over the weekend, including my Iowa State Cyclones. So shout out that the Cy Hawk Trophy back in Ames where it belongs. But I think for this game, there are a ton of props that are intriguing because the huge news, Raheem Mostert, as of recording this, was ruled out. Raheem Mostert will not be playing football. As for Devon Achane, I record these the night before, so keep that in mind. You are not going to know, I'm not going to know what happens with Devon Achane, but it is definitely going to affect my analysis here, and there's already some crazy price discrepancies that exist in the marketplace as a result of that. So you have to be paying attention to that one. If he ends up playing, there's certain plays that might get downgraded as we start breaking it down. But just to remind the people, leans, likes, locks. Leans, those are things I'm thinking about betting. Likes, those are things that I have bet already, and those are generally around a half unit. And then the locks, this one is a full unit lock for me. Yet again, 1 unit on the lock play here of the day. But let's just kind of break into it, shall we? Or break it down. I don't speak so good. We're going to jump over to passing yards in a couple of capacities here right off the bat. Josh Allen touchdown. Josh Allen, he was crazy good against Arizona. And Arizona, hey, they covered the 6.5 for me. That's what I was looking for. But defensively, I don't have a whole lot of hope for them this season. I think they're going to be a team that has shootout after shootout after shootout. And Josh Allen, special stuff. He ends up carrying the ball 9 times. He's diving at the goal line nonstop. 2 touchdowns there. Did lose a fumble in the process, but throws for 2, runs for 2. Josh Allen, I think it's just a little bit too long of odds here at the moment as I look at the board. It's just going to probably be a pass with a minus sign in front of him for the quarterback on the road in Miami. But Tua Tagovailoa, this is something that I'm just having a tough time for because of Waddle. and potentially Achane lining up as a wide receiver here if he is active for this one, we're starting to see Miami and that McDaniel offense. It's got so many intricacies. It's got so many things. And before I really dig into the data of it, I kind of want to see it in play on a Thursday night on a short week with those two main wide receivers. I mean, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Water are like just going to have massive, massive years. But Tua Tagovailoa at 271.5. This is closer to efficient. I thought about it. I've got him closer to 260, but that's not a huge range. I'm looking for about 14, 15 yards, which leads us in to the like section here, where I think one of my favorite plays of the entire game, Josh Allen, under 248.5 passing yards. I don't see him being somebody who throws for a high allotment of yards. Curtis Samuel, barely on the field, 27% of snaps. 27% of snaps. This was somebody that they acquired from Washington to be that kind of go-to guy, but Shakira ends up on the field a lot more. Dalton Kincaid never left the field, and then Keon Coleman still played less than 2/3 of the snaps, but the wide receiver who was out there the most. Obviously, Buffalo likes themselves a little 12. We'll see how they go up against Miami in their front. I think schematically, you might have to do some different things. Arizona, trading away Simmons, and basically just kind of casting off any resemblance of a defense. So it's hard to really say that Buffalo is this or that. All I know is that James Cook, he's going to get goal line poached a lot by Josh Allen, and that is what it is. But speaking of Curtis Samuel, snap counts. This is a big part of what you want to be doing, is you want to be reacting to those rather than what the perceived perception of a player is. Like I like Jalen McMillan for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was on the field the third most amongst wide receiver rookies, north of 80% of the snaps. Yes, he's the wide receiver 3 in Tampa. Yes, he dropped another touchdown, could have had a 2-touchdown outing potentially and been one of your top waiver wire things. But for me, route participation for rookies is very, very important. Keon Coleman was on the field more than 60% of the time, which again was a little bit surprising to me, but not as surprising as 27% of the snaps for Curtis Samuel. I think there's another prop that actually my buddy DK DFS threw out on X. You can follow him at DK_DFS over on X, but less than receiving, longest reception under 13.5 receiving yards. It's moved to 12.5 pretty much everywhere. There are some 11.5s on Curtis Samuel there, but I prefer plus money on under 1.5 receptions. I don't see him on the field over Khalil Shakir. Obviously, there's the familiarity that he has with Josh Allen. And Curtis Samuel, I'm not sure if, it's starting to be washed up, but I mean, he was a volume receiver once upon a time, short ADOT guy. I think you could look at the combo of the two, but I prefer the under of 1.5 receptions, considering plus 129 at Caesars. And hey, wouldn't you know it? If you want to parlay these two, I don't hate it. I don't entirely hate it. Both of these best available at Caesars, minus 101 on Josh Allen, under 248.5 passing yards. I repeat, 232 that he had against Arizona in an absolute shootout. They did have to come from behind after an early deficit in that game. I don't think they throw it as much, even in competitive spots. Plus, Miami, you look at the secondary, Ramsey and such, it's a little bit more improved than that on the other side that they faced last week. Kendall Fuller, that's who I was thinking of at the top of my head too. Anywho, before we get to the lock section, just going to remind you, Lindy 50, that gets you 50% off jumping in that premium Discord. I'm still posting baseball all the live long day. NFL picks, oh yeah, we're going to have all of those for week 1, including NFL Lindy's coming to you on Friday, 4 Sundays slate of games, and then, of course, the Monday Night Football one as well. But 50% off for that marketplace. It now has a name. It is Tails by OddsShopper. That's the logo behind me. And if you would like to join and hang out with me and a bunch of other sharp people in that marketplace, $9.95 for your first week, $24.95 for your first month. Lindy 50. Alrighty, y'all, to the lock we go. Ooh, darling. Oh, boy. The big news, obviously, Raheem Mostert ends up getting ruled out. And this is somebody that last season set the world on fire with over 20 touchdowns, constant usage in the goal line situations. And sure, Devon Achane came along later in the year. Well, it's early on in the year, but really was efficient in minimal touches, took a lot of work away there. Raheem Mostert wasn't on the field a ton. Six carries, 9 yards there, wasn't efficient. He had 3 receptions, or 2 receptions, 3 targets over the course of that one. But he's out with a chest injury for this football game. Devon Achane has been limited in practice here. He did go through practice on Wednesday to some extent, but he's considered a game time decision for this one. And I have no qualms about who will end up being the bell cow back if that ends up being the case, if you have Devon Achane off of this field. Now, even at the current numbers, I think you're going to see some type of limitations on Devon Achane and potentially playing a little bit of wide receiver because that's kind of what we saw last time. But I know that a lot of people picked up Jalen Wright and stored him for a situation like this, the presumed wide receiver 3. Eric, they used 4th-round draft equity on him. You know what a 4th-round draft equity for a running back looks like? Nothing. You could end up getting cut next year, and it would not surprise me. Although Jalen Wright has a little bit of he's got a little bit of spin in the tires. I like Jalen Wright, but not as much as I like Jeff Wilson Jr. This guy comes from the San Francisco Mike McDaniel. The same thing. McDaniel came along for the ride. He brought his dudes over, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., and he stayed around. And Jeff Wilson Jr. was on the field enough there in week 1 that it presumes to me that he is going to have way more work than Jalen Wright right out of the gate. So it was a little surprising to see everybody head to the waiver wire to pick up Jalen Wright. I could be wrong about this, but I don't think so. We're getting plus money still for a guy that if you get ruled out, Devon Achane, this will be north of minus 160, minus 170, because Miami at the goal line, that's how they handle things. Small wide receivers, Tyreek Hill. Yeah, you can do misdirection. You could do, a bunch of play schemes there, but it is about beating it into the other side of the team. And Buffalo's defense did not impress me in any way, shape, or form. That defensive line, everybody outside of Greg Rousseau, they are brutality in terms of PFF grading. Espinosa, Jones, Oliver, Bernard, Williams at the linebacker position. I mean, just awful stuff at the goal line. Jeff Wilson is plus 105 over at DraftKings. He is minus 165 at FanDuel. Don't send me your FanDuel tickets. Have a plus money in front of this and lock it in as long as you do. Bet this as soon as you hear it. If you hear Devon Achane is out, it's going to be too late. You need to bet it now, because then if Devon Achane gets ruled out, it's going to be too late. It's going to be major minus money everywhere. I think I explained that okay. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite props and plays that exist on this massive Thursday night football game. Again, 48.5 total. Looked at the total, looked at a lot of the other things. I think props are really the way you want to play this one. If you actually made me play, I'd be looking at an over here. I think there'll be some offense, although I'm looking at the Josh Allen under passing attempts and under obviously passing yards. I already bet that one. But tails, check that out at the link below. 50% off. Promo code Lindy50. Thank you, producer Jacob. Until the massive week 1, we have so much to talk about, a lot of data to comb through. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NFL streets for Thursday Night Football.